thirsty, they never show no mercy. On the field or in the game, Miami knows how to play. Dolphins thirsty, we all get down and dirty. Tell you what you wanna know, it's the Dolphins Show. Quench your thirst for all things Miami Dolphins. They are the football kings, cause they play to win. Come on in and have some fun, whether we have lost or we have won. For all things Miami, it's Dolphins thirsty. Dolphins thirsty, they never show no mercy. On the field or in the game, Miami knows how to play. Dolphins thirsty, we all get down and dirty. Tell you what you want to know, it's the Dolphins Show. Quench your thirst for all things Miami Dolphins. They are the football kings, cause they play to.
Hello, Miami Dolphin fans. Sorry about the double play there. My computer decided it didn't want to end that video. But anyway, welcome, Miami Dolphin fans, to Throwback Thursday. I hope you're all ready to talk some Miami Dolphins football. And yes, it's Throwback Thursday. As you can see, I got an AJ Duhe jersey back in the background and him right here. Always love some Throwback Thursday talk. Fins up to you, Joe. Thank you for coming in. The Dolphins we had a show about Anthony Weaver, but the Dolphins have since made a couple moves to the coaching staff that we have not discussed here on Dolphins Thirsty. And those moves can be discussed today. We will also discuss some Throwback Thursday. Talk about some of your favorite players from the past. Who was your first favorite players that wore the aqua and orange of the Miami Dolphins? Mine, as you guys all know, I say on the show all the time, the only jersey I've ever really owned is AJ Duhe out of LSU. AJ stands for Adam Joseph Duhe. He was the first round pick of the Miami Dolphins in 1977. He was Defensive Player Rookie of the Year in 1977. He had a pretty solid career. He wasn't a superstar by any stretch, other than he had some really good years, and he had a really famous game in the 1982 AFC Championship game where he had not one, not two, but three interceptions, including one for a pick six to help get the Dolphins to the Super Bowl that year, where they would take on the then Washington Redskins and lose, unfortunately. But it was fun times. He played from the Dolphins from 1977 through the 1984 season, and he was the 13th pick of that 1977 draft, taken in the first round, 13th overall. So had a good, solid career, but that was right when I was really starting to follow the Dolphins, so he became my first favorite Miami Dolphins player. There you have my AJ Duhe fandom summed up. As far as the coaches, I wrote some notes on them today, so bear with me. As you know, we already talked about Anthony Weaver, did a whole show on that, so you can go check that out. But we also hired Joe Barry. So what do we know about Joe Barry? Yes, his Packers, he got fired as a defensive coordinator from the Packers. But if you look at the numbers, they really weren't as bad as is getting made out. It's always a scapegoat, and he was a scapegoat there in Green Bay. But they were 10th in points allowed, so they were up there and, allowing the less points. They were in the top 10 at 10. So they weren't too bad. And then when you get back into his coaching days where he was actually what we hired him to do, he has 2 Super Bowl rings helping teams. He has a Super Bowl ring with, so it's not bad, man. It's not as bad. He has a Super Bowl ring with the Buccaneers and the Rams. He has Super Bowl rings. And that's when he was actually doing the job the Miami Dolphins have hired him from. So I don't know why a lot of people say, oh, Joe Barry, Packer fans don't like him. And everyone's like, oh, it's a bad hire. The guy's done well doing the job the Miami Dolphins are employing him to do. So I like the move. I know there's a lot of fans that was sad to see Anthony Campanelli go because he was a raw guy on Hard Rocks. But let's face it, when the new defensive coordinator comes in, Anthony Campanelli was, passed up for defensive coordinator a few times here, twice for the Miami Dolphins. I shouldn't say a few, twice for the Miami Dolphins. And so obviously he felt like it was time to move on. The Dolphins felt like it was time to move on. And outside of his raw speeches, what do we really know about him? How did our linebackers perform? And so you got a lot of questions like that. Then we brought in an outside linebackers coach, another Ryan to replace a Ryan Sloden. He's staying with the Dolphins, but right now in the roles unknown. Those are according to reports in the Miami Herald, Barry Jackson, others, not me out there doing any reporting, just reporting what I read and carrying it on to you in case you guys. So what do we know about Ryan I'm sorry. I went to the guy that we're moving on from, but forgot to say we hired Ryan Crow of the Tennessee Titans, where he's passed the past 3 seasons as the role he's coming here, outside linebackers coach for the Dolphins. What do we know about Ryan Sloan? He played linebacker for Bowling Green in college, and basically his the past 3 years is his best resume. He's been is that job the Miami Dolphins have hired him for. So he replaces Ryan Slowick, who staying on the staff, like I said, but we don't know who. Basically, you and I must be in the same wheelhouse of age. Dewey, the AFC title again, playing the mud, made me a Dolphin for 8 years old, hooked for life. Yes, I wanted to try to get the video of that, but I couldn't really get a good copy of it. But and that was so great, that pick six. I get it later. I don't know about the rules of streaming someone else's AJ Duhe. I don't want to get in trouble like streaming someone else's work there on the AJ Duhe pick six. But it was that game really hooked me as a Dolphin. I got hooked 1 year before in the loss to the Chargers. I got that's where I kind of fell into being invested in like my emotions invested in the Miami Dolphins when we lost to the Chargers after being down 24 to nothing, roaring back to tie it. Game's like an epic overtime game, but the Dolphins fall short. But that's a game that was 1 year before the big AJ. I call it the AJ Dewey game to this day. Some people call it the Mud Bowl, as you pointed out. Oh, by the way, welcome back, True Blazer. Welcome back to the show. Always a pleasure to have every one of you in the room. So it is awesome. But as far as the coaching staff, I think most of the time, outside of the head coach and the coordinators, and that when I say coordinators, I'm also throwing the special teams coordinator in there with the offensive and defensive coordinators. And sometimes you get the quarterbacks coach and stuff like that. But how much time do we really even know most of these position players and coaches? I mean, position coaches. Because you got some of the assistants. Do we really know what they're doing every single day? Do we know they're the reason for the not them progressing? Do we know they're no, we don't. So I don't make too much of it. They have decent resumes, the guys we brought in. Weaver hopefully got to sign off on them and had some say in it because after all, it's going to be his defense. We will never know. Did it come from Greer? Did it come from Mike McDaniel? Did they get input from Reaver? I would like to they've learned and say, okay, let's see what the defensive coordinator wants for his defense and let's find guys that he thinks he'll be able to work with. That's at the end of the day, you need a good working relationship. So hopefully Weaver had some input on these hires. I would imagine that he in fact did, but I can't, guarantee that. But I would imagine common sense, which isn't so common, but it would indicate that Weaver would have had some say in this matter. At least that's how I'm looking for it. We got the NFL draft coming up. So that's going to be a lot of fun over the next couple of weeks. We get into a lot of good draft talk here coming over the next couple months, really, not just weeks. And that's always in April. So we got a lot of time still to talk about the draft. But these coaches, I think this is simple. I don't know if they're going to get a safeties coach because our cast with a safety coach left the job. So we will see if we get hired. I mean, we hire a safeties coach. So that would be another interesting note. So that's awesome. So anyway, guys, what do you want to talk about? Dan Marino's interview. and talked about Tua. Talked about something that's got blown way out of proportion on both sides of the fence. He never said that Tua. Some of the things that they said, they could have are some articles saying that it's just silly. You have to see it to believe it. Anytime Tua and then I mean, let's face it, when your Hall of Fame quarterback says that the Dolphins can win a Super Bowl, basically summarizing, not verbatim quote, can win a Super Bowl with Tua, it's going to get a lot of attention. Others took that like they blew up headlines saying Dolphins have their franchise guy, they can win Super Bowls. Dan just said the Dolphins can win a Super Bowl. And basically that's it. But being Tua and then being in the Hall of Fame, Dan Marino, those two powers emerge together. You're going to get a lot of talk on Twitter, but it's really a lot about nothing. And on a lighter note, Dan Marino likes the older uniforms better, but he said that he doesn't even bother bringing it up because that's Ross's baby, the new current uniform logo, and he's not going to probably come off of that. He said that to Mike Florio in an interview sometime this week. It's Super Bowl week, another Super Bowl week without our Miami Dolphins being there, and it stinks. Point blank, he says, no, yeah, a bunch of nothing. Yeah, that's what he's just not going to say no. Of course, that's why I said it's just a whole bunch of what's he going to say? Oh, no. I mean, can you imagine if Dan Marino had said, no, we're never going to win a Super Bowl with this guy? Talk about he blowing up Twitter on Dolphins. I would have stayed away from Dolphins Twitter and social media for a few days if he would have said that. Hey, Steve Malloy, talking about throwback. There's a throwback himself right there. Steve Malloy, keeping it, Steve Malloy, keeping it real every Tuesday night on the Fins Talk Sports Network. And every time he makes an appearance during the season on my shows, on pre-games, he keeps it real, but he keeps it nice because we all root for the Dolphins. So thank you for coming in this morning, Steve. I know exactly what she's going to say about Tua. Just nothing. Because if he would have said, "Nah, I don't really think he's the guy," and we're looking out, I would have blown up. Of course, he's going to say that, and he's softening the fan base maybe for Tua's big contract that's coming down the road. Who knows? He's out there. He's with the organization still. Most people call it like a figurehead role with the team, but he does have the input, have the ear of Ross. So, he can say some things, but let's face it, all signs are pointing to Tua being the present and near future quarterback of the Miami Dolphins as he's playing on his 5th-year option this year. So no matter what, he's a Dolphin next year, unless they trade him. Of course, I should never say no matter what, but he's going to be a Dolphin. So to me, all we can do is try to get this team, root for this team, and try to hopefully Chris Greer starts building a winner. That's what I want. Yeah, he is kind of the face of the franchise. And I do agree with you, Steve. Marino talks, people listen, like those old EF Hutton, which is probably the younger crowd probably doesn't even know what that mean, but there's old EF Hutton commercials that used to say people listen when they talk. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But yes, Marino is definitely the face of the franchise from the front office standpoint, without a doubt. But does he really have any power as far as making decisions? That we don't know, and I wouldn't think he has that much power. Because if you got him alone, I would guarantee he probably likes his big, strong quarterbacks, like those 6'3" quarterbacks with a rifle arm. But hey, he seems to like Tua. He seems to like the person Tua, I should say. But does he really love the quarterback Tua? That's the big question. Because we all like. If there's anyone in here that says they don't like the person Tua, they're crazy. Because the person Tua is great, undeniable, one of the best in Dolphins history. Person Tua. Then when you get into football Tua, then we can have our debates whether he's the guy for the football team moving forward. But as far as if anyone personally just hates Tua because of his personality, then I would never get it. He's just a nice laid back guy, so I wouldn't get that. He seems like a humble dude, so that I wouldn't get. Hey, good morning, the resident. Well, not the resident, because we get Michael K in here from time to time, and Red Wright and Bills, one of the resident Bill fans in the house. Saw him a little bit this morning on, I think, believe the Miss Finn show. Another great channel to go check out. But thank you for coming in, Mark. But yeah, as far as the coaches, though, like I said, the main focus today, and any throwback guys that you liked back in the day. Like I said, no matter what one of these logos that you picked when you were Steve is the top one. This is my generation when I kind of earlier than 89, but in the 80s. There's slight variations to all of those logos. But I rocked basically the ones that Joe Rose and David Woodley and Don Strock and Dan Marino a couple of years later all rocked. That's the logo. That was my favorite logo. This is, of course, the one that they rocked during the perfect season of 1972. So, end of the day, uniforms don't matter, but it's always fun to talk. Oh, yeah, I got my favorite logo. That's my favorite logo right there on the bottom of my Throwback Thursday little banner there. That's my favorite all-time logo for the Dolphins. But end of the day, they could go out there in Penn State looking uniforms, all white helmets with a little aqua stripe or something on it. And if they won the Super Bowl, hey, that would become my favorite. So end of the day, I don't even care. But it's fun banter. What logo rocks? To me, that's the best one right there. Good morning, Steve. To be honest, Chris Greer is the face of this franchise. It is soft, overpaid, and lacks success. What better explanation is? Yes, as far as I think he just means like the most public face when he says the face of the franchise, the most well-known name. But yes, Greer is the guy that's messed up the team as far as lack of playoff wins. He's been with the Miami Dolphins since 2000. But he was just an area scout when he started, not just, that's a good job, but he was an area scout with the Dolphins when he started in 2000. The last year we won our playoff game in Miami Dolphins land, and he's been with the organization ever since. We have not won a playoff game. He became a general manager in 2016, but people say in 16, 17, and 18, he may not have had all the power. 2019 is when they say it was his show when he hired Flores. It was their show. Then it became now the Greer and McDaniel show. So, yes, there is a common denominator in Chris Greer. And unfortunately, he's not going anywhere this year. But I hope he proves me wrong. I hope the Dolphins go on a playoff run next year, make me eat my words, and then I'll be able to say Chris Greer is the best thing since ice cream. I was going to say sliced bread, but why not go with ice cream? Really home run thing. But for right now, and I'm with you, Mark, and you're a Bills fan. I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but you're right. Chris Greer hasn't gotten the job done yet. Dog Dean, big fins up. Sometimes you get a dad Dean in here. So, Dog Dean, thank you for coming in and checking us out this morning. I love it seeing people come into the room. Oh, thank you. Just subscribe and hitting those thumbs up. Love it. Thank you. You're a team member now. It's awesome. You're not even, we don't, I look at you guys as all teammates, not subscribers. It's just, we all love the Dolphins, man. And it's. I do this for strictly for fun. Doesn't pay the bills. Doesn't do anything. I just come on here when I can to talk about the Miami Dolphins because it's what I love to do. And guys, this is going to be a curveball because in baseball, I also love baseball. And tomorrow morning, I'm going to be a co-host on the Fins Talk Sports Network's premier baseball program tomorrow at this same time, but not on this same bat channel. It's going to be on the Fins Talk Sports Network. So if you guys love baseball, find us on the Fins Talk Sports Network at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So I won't be here tomorrow morning. I'm going to change my days up. Normally I roll on Fridays for my Fins Friday, but I've been looking to talk baseball. Now I'm teaming up with someone that loves to talk baseball. So that's going to be a lot of fun tomorrow morning. Dolphins need a dog as a teammate. The Dolphins need some dogs for sure, though. There's some gritty football players in the trenches. They need them on the defensive line. they need them on the offensive line. My friend, who I only talk to a few times a year, because life happens. His best friend growing up, but he lives up with his family in Orlando. I live with my family here in South Florida, but we talk every so often. And he was asking me, well, what's your thoughts on already, early thoughts on the 2024 season? And I said, my only thoughts are lots of questions to be answered. Does Christian Wilkins come back? Does Xavier Howard come back? Does Jerome Baker come back? Does Chubb come back healthy quicker than we think he might? Does Phillips come back and have that same, burst? And I don't want to say burst because he burst his Achilles, but he come back with that same quickness that he was starting to display. So there's a lot of questions on the horizon for the Dolphins. Does the defensive coordinator get up running quickly, get this team playing well early in the season? So many questions coming up about this Dolphins team. Does Hunt come back on the offensive line? Does Armstead retire? I don't think he retires, but does he retire? And and does Connor Williams come back? And if Connor Williams does come back after signing a new contract, is he healthy? There's a lot of questions. Going into this season, I was very optimistic of at least a playoff. I predicted 11-6. Bingo bongo. I nailed it on the head. I pinned the tail on that donkey, and I got it. But I said they would win a playoff game, and that is where I fell flat on my face. And that's where, to me, I would not be. My record's going to probably be predicting lower going into next year. Not so much that the Dolphins are worse, but just the simple fact that other teams are getting better. So you almost have to win the division if you want that playoff spot, because it's not going to be a given. You got Joe Burrow coming back to the Bengals. If he stays healthy, they're a better ball club. Baltimore down in there, and Cleveland, that whole division is tough. Then you got Jim Harbaugh coming to the Chargers. He's going to get the most out of Justin Herbert. We're going to see if they nailed it in Justin Herbert now. So it's a lot of getting Buffalo still the division champs. I mean, though they got some questions they got to take care of too. Aaron Rodgers is going to come back. So there's a lot of stuff. Way too early to really have any early season predictions. We just see what they do with the salary cap. I call it a mess, but it's not a mess because they will clear it. Chris Greer gives his wonderful, we're not that worried about it. So, but he also said he wasn't that worried about the offensive line, and but hey, that's it. Hey, Adam, big fins up to you. Scotty, so many moves in this instance coming in. Yes, Scotty, tons of moves. And Scotty, we did touch on some of the coaching moves that we done. We had already talked, of course, about Anthony Weaver, but we did cover the Joe Barry and Ryan Crow additions to the defense, and the fact that Ryan Slowick is staying on with the Dolphins in an unknown capacity. So we have touched on that. So some of those are coming into fruition, the coaching questions. Now it's coming into all those big, who's going to be the backup quarterback, because they're probably going to move on from Mike White. Are they just going to let Skyler be the primary backup because he has lower cap number, or because they're probably going to cut Mike White to free up that? Not probably, almost definitely they're going to cut Mike White, which he's a local kid from down here, so I hope he signs somewhere and keeps on going. Seems like good, solid family. His mom's a teacher where my kids went to school. Depends on what defensive players are brought back, or for me to determine. Yes, Sway, I agree, Dean. I agree 100%. Way too early. I mean, we haven't even had the free agency period yet. We haven't even got below the cap yet. We haven't even gotten to the draft. We haven't gotten into any of that stuff yet. So way too early. Heck, the schedule official. We know what teams we're playing, but we don't know the order. Oh, and speaking of that, all you guys on Twitter told me, oh, the Dolphins are going to be playing in Brazil. Well, no, they're not. The Eagles are, and the Dolphins aren't on the schedule for the Eagles game. So at least we don't have to go to Brazil and play a game. So that's good. I'd love to. them to move so much to special team coach and get. I know I was wondering that, but maybe he would become like help on the assistant of that or something. I don't know because they did get rid of their assistant special teams coach. Maybe he can help there. It's going to be interesting on that front, but they did keep him on their staff. So that is Scotty expects the defense to take the brunt of the cap casualties. Therefore, Weaver is going to have to rebuild on the cheap. Yes, he is probably going to have to. And yes, you're right, because they're probably going to cut some room on the defense. It's easier to move on from some of those guys. I mean, Xavier Howard, he's the longest tenured Dolphin now on the Miami Dolphins. But if you cut him post June 1st, you can save a lot of money, but you won't see anything until they can cut him right away, but it'd be designated post June 1st, which doesn't free up money right away, but it can free it up for the draft class, as I said a couple times on the show. But you can move on from Crossan and Bake. There's some names you can move on. Ogball. There are names you can move on from. But some, it's going to be tough. It's going to be an interesting several weeks in Miami Dolphin lands leading up to the March 13th league year. So a lot of get that cap phrase speed up. So if we do have an eyeball on an outside talent, be ready to pounce. But I don't think they're going to be super. I think they're a bargain hunt in free agent more. I could be wrong. Dolphins are known to always make a big splash. But to me, they need more solid core players and this to round out the whole team, not be so top heavy. We need to be more well-rounded. So that's how I look at it. Really? Or are you just I didn't even look in that, or are you just messing with me? I'm gonna go look it up. Are Joe Barry and Butch Barry? We'll see. I don't know. That one I had not heard. I'll go look at it. I can't find it right now. Let's see. So I respect Agua Bear. Yes, he is. Probably high priced, but yes, he is. And I know, as Scotty says, he is his favorite free agent target. There you go. And I do believe. I know a lot of people want the free agent target of Derrick Henry. He's lower on my totem pole. Great guy, great running back. But unless you get him for a bargain, I just don't see that being a high priority at the running back position. I'm sorry. I know that's going to make a lot of people mad, upset with that take. And hey, if they sign him, I would rock and roll. But as far as the money probably it would take to get him, he's lower. So I'm with you. If they're going to spend money, I'm with you. Get that defense shored up for their new defensive coordinator with a guy that obviously knows Weaver and knows how to use him to his fullest potential. So that would be a big bang, big boom signing for our Miami Dolphins. Could they get it done? Probably, but it would come out again losing some of those core players with because he's going to demand big money on that market. That's what I think. Of course, I've been wrong many times before, but I think he's going to get a huge payday. And I just don't know if the Dolphins are in that position right now to give those huge paydays out. Yes, the cap is flexible. Yes, I understand that. You can move money around. You can rework contracts, kick that money down, kick the can down the road, and you can make some moves to free up money by cutting others. But remember, when you cut others, you still need to bring others in. And are those others going to be as good, at least as good at a cheaper price than the guy you're moving on from? That's or do we digress and fall back? These are all the questions that Chris Greer better get right this offseason. To me, he's the guy on the hottest of hot seats. Unfortunately, if he goes, then the whole thing probably blows up this time around. So we will see. See what Scotty have to say here. Yes, we seem to have interest in a couple. Raiders have Allen at center and Hooper tied it. It's going to be an interesting for sure off season for our Dolphins. Heck, it's already been interesting. We've already rumors of Tua's contract circling around the world, and already had a decent coordinator go, and then you get the Dolphins side. Oh, he wasn't working with coaches. Then they fired back, because we fouled across the bow. Then he fired back across the bow, saying, "Whoa, they got some soft players that out there." Not soft, he didn't say, but he never said anything. That's why I say I really don't know where all this banter is coming from. But you get Ron Jaworski Jaws saying, "Oh, he had some players going out there, enjoying the South Florida lifestyle and didn't really want to come to work." So you get all that. So there's always a story around our Miami Dolphins. Most of the time, they're not the good stories we want to hear, but they're out there. They're out there for sure. I mean, just the mere mention of Tua maybe getting a contract, it was ready. Can you imagine the day he signs that contract? What Dolphins social media accounts are going to look like? It's not going to be nice. You're going to have your people that celebrate it like it's the greatest thing ever, and you're going to have others saying this is the doom of the franchise, and now we have no chance. So it's going to be, and there'll be some moderate people, but for the most part, it's going to be the vocal minorities on both sides of the fence that are going to get all the crazies going on Twitter, now known as X. No, I agree. It sucks there is such a fracture, and I know, and it's so much around Tua too that there's a fracture in the. He is the one of the most polarizing. And I won't say the most polar, one of the most polarizing guys I've seen in Miami Dolphins history for whatever reason. But no matter what, he's been a solid quarterback for us. There's no debating that. I mean, when you lead, I don't care what you say. Oh yeah, we played the JV teams. There's still NFL teams. He still led the league in passing. So he does have some traits. Now, the question is, can he get us over the hump and win playoff games? Can he win the big games? And that he has not answered yet. I agree. That's why I'm one of the moderate fans. But I've seen enough to say, okay, he's like I like to say, I think he's good. I don't know if he's great. Do you need a great quarterback to win a Super Bowl? Does Brock Purdy win this year? Is he a great quarterback if he wins, if he beats Mahomes and the Chiefs this week? So, you can answer that. In the past, there's been plenty of non-great quarterbacks that have won the Super Bowl. I know times are changing a little bit. The league's changed, but I do believe you can win and with Tua. How much can you win? I don't know. Can he perform in the playoffs and lead his team to the Super Bowl? None of us know. And we're both lying if any of us say that we do know. I know that's a big name out there, Derrick Henry, Dog Dean. I agree. But to me, it's just all those monies can be spent better elsewhere, man. I mean, yes, a stud running back is, but if you get A Chan coming back, and then I don't know about Mozart, I don't know about Wilson and all those guys moving forward. But Mozart's coming back. He's under contract, but Wilson may be gone as well as far as this because you can cut him. He's coming back. He's on contract for next year, but he can be moved on from. I don't think Mozart is that much of a hit. I would go look at it again, but I think we're fine there. Can win the big game. Hey, Abba, AB, can. I don't know who you're asking for. Are you? Who are you asking for, AB? Are you asking about Tua can win the big game? Okay, I got Llama RB. But anyway, I don't know if you're asking for Tua. That's the big difference. It's going to be interesting, though. We will see what his contract is if they decide, or do they just finally, at the end of the day, let him play on his 5th-year option. But there's been a lot of murmurs about him getting that contract extension. But getting the contract extensions is different from getting a Patrick Mahomes or a Justin Herbert or you know contract extension. Does he take something less if the market, if unless he knows the market dictates he's going to get it? The Giants signed their guy, Daniel Jones, whatever his name's. Is it Daniel Jones? But anyway, you know who I'm talking about, the quarterback of the Giants, Jones. And then yeah, Danny Dimes, that's what they called him. So do we give him that type of contract? So many questions. I mean, Cleveland gave their guy, and he didn't even get him. Joe Flacco ends up being the guy. So it's just crazy. Deshaun Watson being their guy. Sorry if you don't know who I'm talking about. Deshaun Watson got guaranteed money, huge deal, gave up a bazillion picks for him. And then he's not even the guy that leads them to the playoffs. So it's just crazy, just crazy stuff. Yeah, I like Mozart too. I mean, he had a great season, man. But I mean, I know you got to start planning from his season. He just said it would be a tough call for me. Yeah, I agree on that. I say Mozart, you come back with A Chan, obviously, you come back with everyone else in the running back room. Well, Chris Brooks, hopefully, I know he's a lot of fan favorites for a guy that we haven't even seen that much, but a lot of guys like Brooks. So hopefully maybe he comes back but to me, I just don't see spending big on the running back. Maybe they draft a running back, but remind you, we only got a first and a second, then nothing to the third, nothing for the fourth, then we got a fifth, 2, 6, and a seventh. So, but nothing in the core of the draft at 3 and 4. So again, that's when you would love to nab a running back. And those rounds right there, when you still got some of the good ones sitting there on the board for you. But we got such desperate needs at other spots that it's hard for me to say go all in on a running back. And Derrick Henry has said he would really want to play for a Super Bowl contender. Would he even honestly, is he going to look at the Dolphins and say we're a Super Bowl contender if he joins? He would obviously have to add himself to the equation here in Miami. But would he view as Miami a Super Bowl contender with his services? So there's so much to talk about over the next few weeks. It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun. And I'm here for it. We are here for it. Talking Dolphins all the time on Dolphins Thursday. A channel only records would be most interesting. Oh, Michael K. Michael K. Oh, nice to have you, by the way, Michael K. But no, yes, he did get banged up, but when he was in there, he had great numbers. Awesome numbers. I mean, he would be up there with the league leaders, and he led the league in some areas. Even though was up there, didn't lead the league in everything, but he had some pretty good numbers, like 7 TDs for a guy that did miss a lot of time, admittedly, Michael K. But let's see moving forward if he can avoid that. But 2 Buffalo Bills fans have come into the show today, but as long as they hit those thumbs up buttons, all is great in the hood here in Dolphin Land. So I here for it. So let's see. What else have we covered? Oh, yeah. So Anthony Campanelli, not only is he gone to the Dolphins, he has basically gone to Green Bay. So we got a Packer defensive coordinator, and they got our linebacker coach, almost like a trade. So Campanelli is gone from us, and he went up to Green Bay. So that's interesting to see. So he did land another job, and I understand why he would want to move on. It's understandable. He put in for defense coordinator last year, did not get it. His name was in the mix again this year, did not get it. He obviously says, "Okay, my career is stagnant here in Miami. Thank you for your service, Campanelli. Nothing against you, but I agree that you made the right move or the Dolphins moved on from you. Good to see you. Whatever, how you want to slice it, doesn't matter. He's in another NFL franchise, and he hopefully does great for them over there, and gets the most out of his career. All we really know of him from Hard Knocks, let's be honest. Yes, I agree. Green Bay is a good landing place for Campanelli. Wish him the best, as do I. Oh, you don't need to tell me. I know Derrick Henry would be a big get for the Miami Dolphins. I'm not going to debate you on that. I'm just saying, though, when you balance out the other needs and the money it's probably going to take to get Henry, but when you need who's going to replace Wilkins and Ronke Davis, there's a lot of guys. I mean, so you can't even say he's going to be the guy. So, and then if X does walk, does Cam Smith step up, or do we need another cornerback? Do we still need to solidify that offensive line because they played better, but they still aren't like an elite offensive line if you look at all the really inter metrics that some of these guys looked at. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, maybe we weren't all that. We were improved under Butch Berry, though. He did get the most out of them. So that is fun to see if they emerge anything. But we don't know if we're going to have Hunt. Like I said, we don't know if we're going to have Connor Williams. There's Armstead, it's not going to play a whole season, unfortunately. He's going to play. He's going to grit it out. He's going to do his thing. I mean, he says he even hinted at retirement. So it tells you where his body's at. But I say he's not going to walk away from that money, and he's going to be back. Once again, I will have my disclaimer. I've been wrong a lot, so I could turn off this show today and see he officially announces his retirement. But, just so many questions. Lamb, who filled in well for him last year when Armstead did go out. He's a free agent. Isaiah Wynn was a good pickup, but he got hurt. So we got so many guys that may not be back, and it's tough because our offensive line we need a really good offensive line, bottom of the line, just like almost teams in the NFL. But with how our team is set up, get him a great offensive line is what we need. Oh, Chef Drew, thank you. Guys, check him out. From what I hear, I haven't ordered his services yet, so I can't, but word of mouth is this guy gives you the best. Just contact him, reach out to him. He caters. He does all kinds of awesome stuff. Good morning, Chef Drew, to you too, and everyone. You're all just check your post. Yes, check your post. It's going to be a rocky ride this off season. We're going to have the good moments and the high moments. There's going to that's the same thing. There's going to be some low moments and high moments. High moments are going to be when we draft someone that we like or we sign a guy. Some down moments. Chris Wilkins may go to another team, guys. He's a team leader. He's a baller out there. But there are signs pointing that he may move on because the Dolphins have said he's earned his right to free agency. So I don't expect a tag and trade type thing because remember, when you tag a guy, you got to have that money committed to him. So you're going to not be able to go shopping until some team trades. So unless right away some team's willing to trade, he's probably going to be gone unless the Dolphins give him, the huge contract. But again, we got other needs. So many things that they have to determine to get this ship righted to where we can get our first playoff win since December 30th, 2000. It's been way too long. So there's so many moves they have to do that we're going to see some. And Xavier Howard, Courtney would be like devastated but it just is what it is. You may have to move on from him. He's the longest tenured Miami Dolphin. So there are Jerome Breaker, just names that's been connected to the Dolphins for a long time that we may have to move on from. And we may bring in a name. We may bring in a Derrick Henry, that dog Dean. You never know. And, we'll be all happy. But there's so many questions that we have to see. I want to see how they get under the cap. That's going to answer some of the questions right there. What they choose to get under the cap so we can be ready to play in the free agent market. And we will see. Do they rework some of these big contracts? Do they cut more people than we think they're going to cut? that they can work out? Or is it going to be more of we working the big, fat, top heavy contracts that have big cap hits this year? That is the fun and unknown part about our Miami Dolphins. Anthony, I read an article on Bleach Report that is attack probably for JC Horn from Carolina if Xavier walks. Trading for JC Horn from if hey, like I say, there's gonna be Anthony. This is the one thing that's fun about this time of year. You're gonna see lots of stuff like that. You're gonna see a lot of players connected to the Dolphins, and it's gonna be fun. You're gonna see a lot of players expected to leave the Dolphins, and this is a great time of year to be a football fan. That's why the NFL rocks. We got the Super Bowl this week. Then the Super Bowl's gone. Then it gets a little quiet, but then that new league year starts in March, and then boom, kabam! Before you know it, all the free agency is just winding down. The big names are all weeding out. Boom! It's time for NFL draft. Then after the NFL draft, you get rookie and OTAs. It's a never-ending never-ending. There's a couple of dead months where there's not, but for the most part, the NFL always finds a way to get back relevant within a couple, they only maybe May and June, maybe the NFL is like it's like lull because the drafts happened, free agencies happened, and all of that stuff. So that's there's a couple months in there that it kind of lulls. But man, the NFL is keen at keeping their brand in the forefront of eyeballs. Hey, Dolphin Don, big fins up to you. Thank you for coming into the room. Thank you so much. Good to have you back here as always, Dolphin Don. At some point this offseason, every single free agent will be, yes, Scotty, that is the one thing, maybe not so much this year, maybe, just for the simple fact that we may not have that much money available. But if we had a lot of money, for sure. But yeah, people love Lincoln because they know Ross's ways, they know Greer's ways. They like to make splashes. So I agree with you, Scotty. There'll be a lot of names linked to the Dolphins. Maybe a tad bit this year just because they know we're not going to get the big names. They know we're not going to get like Jones from Kansas City and all that kind of stuff because then they really have no money to spend. And it's just, to me, this is a worse draft not to have a third and a fourth round pick. Guys, if you're wondering why we don't have a third and fourth round pick, the third round pick was taken from the tampering charge. It's the final phase of the penalty. Finally, next year, we're clear of that. But we don't have a third round pick this year because of the tampering with Brady and Sean Payton, whatever, who knows. But we don't have a third round pick this year. And why don't we have a fourth? Because there's the final dealings of the Chubb trade. So there you go. We got no three for other than tampering. So no player. We didn't get any good player for that third round. A fourth round pick we don't have for a guy that's going to be hurt. So really, we got 3 and 4 gone, and with really no hope to help us at the start of the season. It's rough. And I'm not saying Chubb wasn't, if he was on the team, he wouldn't be a good player. But the fact is he's hurt. And we may not see him till late in the season. So now we don't have a 3 and a 4 for. So those are 2 resources that we basically have nothing to show for, and till late in the season if Chubb comes back. So it's rough, man. It's rough. I, for one, like Scotty, and I would love if we could ever get Scotty on here to do a show. The mock draft guy will be appearing on Dolphins Thirsty on Courtney's show on Monday night. So that should be fun for all you draft nicks out there like me that love the draft. This year, admittedly, I'm a little bit behind because I've been reading a lot of baseball over the past few days to get caught up for my show tomorrow. And I've been just, watching the Dolphins coaching stuff and all that. But hopefully I can get Scotty on here and we can talk some draft guys and give me his top 5 because Justin's too busy doing his stuff right now. So it's hard for me to read about all these guys and write about them and get them. So anyone that loves it, I would love to get on there for draft talk. Anthony says, Rob, any updates to the Dolphins hiring any new position coaches on the defense side with Coach Weaver besides? So yes, our we talked about Ryan Crow, outside linebackers coach, and he came from the Tennessee Titans, where he played. I mean, where he was a outside linebacker coach up until Favorite got, they let him go, and then he was this. He wasn't part of the new guy coming in, so he was a free agent coach. The Dolphins signed Ryan Crow from the Tennessee Titans to be the outside linebackers coach, and he had played, so it's not bad. He played at Bowling Green back in the day, and he's coaching other levels, but for the past 3 years he's been, so that's mainly his primary position that we hired him for, and so he's coming in from there. Hopefully all these guys are good at player development, because we're going to be bringing in some new guys that are going to have to play from the get-go, from the jump, because you're going to be moving on from some guys, so hopefully they do that. Hey, Timothy Washington. Timothy, big fins up to you. Thank you, Timothy Washington, as always, for finding Dolphins thirsty. I love it. I'm curious if Ross is going to limit Greer this offseason if it sends a trade so he's on the hot seat. Otherwise, to stop Greer going nuclear. That would be interesting. This doesn't seem to be in Ross's DNA. We can pick on Ross about a lot of stuff, but the one thing that he doesn't ever do is limit the financial. That would be a good indication, though, Scotty. You are 100% right. That would be a good indication. If you do see not that many of those moves, then obviously he has to give them enough leadway to get under the cap just by rules. So he's going to have to do that. But yes, we're going to see if they do a lot of reworking on the contract, or they're going to tell him, well, find another way to get under the cap. So that could be interesting too. But Ross has never put a financial limitation on the team. I know we can pick on him for a lot of things. If you want to say he's hired the wrong people, he's did the tampering, cost us a third-round draft pick this year, whatever. There are some, but money's normally not an issue for Mr. Ross. So that will be an interesting thing to see if he puts a limit. To me, that's good, Connie. I hadn't even thought about it. So that would be a good indication if you see them like, oh man, they're not reworking Hill's contract. They're not reworking like Chubb's or whoever. Well, maybe, just maybe, they would, you know, that's a good thing. Good point, man. I like that. Dolphin, I'm encouraged. We have a first and second. Good chance those will be a hit. Well, I hope you're right. I hope you're right. The draft is still, even in the first round, like a 50-50 proposition. And I don't have exact numbers, but I just hear people that talk about the draft over the years. And then it goes down from there, So, hey, but Mr. Irrelevant, no longer Mr. Irrelevant, basically, is going to be playing in the Super Bowl. So you can find gems throughout the draft. But yes, hopefully they need to make impact play. First and second round better be day one starters, no matter what position they're in. And, unless they're like a receiver. I mean, because we could use a third receiver, but then starter depends how many starters. We know what I mean overall, though. They need to be impact players. Starters sometimes get overused. You need a guy that comes in and actually plays. Our second round pick, which was our first pick last year, Cam Smith, hardly got on the field, got in at some garbage time. We're not going to get into that whole debate whether he was a partier, not a hard worker. He only got drafted because he knows Chris Greer's son. Doesn't matter. He is a Miami Dolphin. So we have to have him playing this year. And hopefully he plays up to his draft ability, which is a second round pick. Step up, young man. It's time to show why the Dolphins put you so high on their board. Then go back another draft before that. Channing Tindall. He was our first pick. Granted, we didn't have a first or second that year. So Tindall at the third round. He has not really, outside of some good, solid special teams play, he has not contributed to our defense for the most part. We need guys drafted this year, first and second round, to come in and contribute to this football team from day one. That's what we need. It's not like it's a luxury this year because we're so stacked. If you can get something out of the rookie or just be a bonus. No, we need these guys who come in and contribute to this football team this year. No, he's a project. No project this year, Mr. Greer. Zero chance for a project this year. You got to get a guy that's healthy, not coming off a major injury, and that's ready to play from day one and be an impact on this Miami Dolphins football team, or this is a bad miss. Bad miss if both guys don't come in. I'm talking first and second round. I expect contributors. That's all I want. Impact, difference making guys that come in and help this Dolphins team win. Whether it's in the trenches, whether it's in the linebacker core, the defensive back core, tight end, I don't care. They better be impact players and come ready. They better not be acting like rookies on day one. They better be ready to go. If you know you got a complicated offense and defense, you better draft guys that have the tendency to be able to pick up whatever you know that you're going to throw at them. Do your research. Bring in impact guys right away. Let's see. Greer needs to find a way to turn our six track into it. Yes, I would hope. Hey, G Man, I'll get to your comment in a minute. I know I see it already, but welcome G Man into the house as always. But Greer needs to find a way to turn our six tracks into at least 8. I tend to agree, but the only time that's going to happen if you trade down from the first or the second. I'm almost like at the first, I would almost hate to trade down if a great talent is there. Now, if you could trade down, stay within the first round, though, because I do like a first round pick because you always have that 5th-year option you can throw on a player to keep them under team control for 5 years. Is why teams like those late, sometimes they would trade up into the first round just to be able to have a 5th-year control on a player. But, so that's why I would say I would not want to fall past the 32nd pick of the first round. I would not want to fall past that. I would want to stay up in those, in that range, keep in the first round and see what you can pick up. Then maybe if you can trade down in the second, if some team overwhelms you, and get a third or a fourth, we need a filler gap. It is way too long. 100-something players will go off the board. I think don't hold me to this, but it's like, I think our second pick. I'm not looking at the picks right. Oh, I have them right here. But I think it's let's see. Why am I going off memory when I can have my cheat sheet? So let's see. We got, that's why I thought we basically go 100 picks before we pick again. We got that one, we got 55, then we don't pick again until 156. Then we go 185, and then 199, and then 238. But that's a big, big, big flaw of this year's offseason right there. No third or fourth round picks in a draft that's pretty deep. And that's the wheelhouse of the draft this year is those from the second to fourth rounds people are saying, and we just have one pick in the second round. That stuff. That is rough. To me, at least, it's rough. So I don't know. There we go. Back to the Throwback Thursday banner with AJ Duhe, guys. I started off with a little AJ Duhe information to start the show. Always fun to talk about my first ever favorite player for the Miami Dolphins. Met him as a kid many, many moons ago. He was signing autographs at Burdines. Let's see. What did Tim say? Yeah, okay. I like the hat, Ron. Let me catch you. I know. I much prefer it. I much prefer what I want to see that white hat on the bottom of that's a hat, but it's always sold out on Fanatics. I want that hat. That's my favorite logo, and that hat is always sold out every time I try to find it. And I guess they just got it out of stock and they never put it back in stock. First come, first serve, and I missed it. But that's my favorite, man. I don't even have a cap with that logo. I had some back when I was a kid, but they got all worn out and tossed out. But that is right there, man. That's my cap I try to find. So, and guys, if you remember, if you're ever going to shop on Fanatics for any of your favorite teams, you can hit the link in my bio here or go to the website, Dolphin Thirsty, and you will help the channel out by hitting the affiliate link, which goes to their safe and secure website. And that's it. That's my only sales punch of the day. So anyway, but yeah, I love that cap. I just can't find that. This is tough. And as you can see, I got like a Joe Rose bucket size head, and I'm only like 5'8". So I have to get extra large, or like an 8 in the if it's size wise. That's how big. So and then getting those, you think that'd be like, oh, not that many people, but they don't even have that size available in that cap. I'm like, come on, how many big noggin people out there, man, taking that Miami Dolphins cap? What did they order? Like 5 of them? Scotty, I think Powers goes before 21 now. Okay, because I saw some people like questioning maybe he could fall. I do not see him going into the second round either, though, Scotty. I know some people are saying, oh, maybe we can get him. I'm Scotty. If we want him, yeah, I think you got to take him at 21. If that's the one center that you want, I think you got to take him at. Well, I would take tackle. And I've been looking at your guy Frazier, but the only problem is now most of these mock draft simulators, again, they're not 100% accurate, just for fun purposes, for entertainment purposes. But Frazier's isn't falling. A lot of times, Frazier doesn't even fall to 55 anymore. So I'm like, oh man, because I tried it, and tackles go quick too. Sometimes it's like I got to go way down the list on the tackles on these fun draft simulators. Maybe on our next show, we can run a draft simulator. I just looked at the time right now. It's almost time for me to head out the door. But that's always fun doing the draft simulator. But yeah, Frazier, man, because I like your guy. Because I was thinking, man, get a tackle and then get Frazier and make them both start, man. Keith Sims and Richmond Webb back in the day. Bring in 2 guys to play on the offensive line from day one and hit. But like Chris Greer, I mean, like G-Man said about Chris Greer, counting on Chris Greer to hit it right and get it right. But hey, hopefully he will. You know, as they say, a broken clock is right 2 times a day or whatever, unless it's digital and it's totally out. But let's see. Yeah, unfortunately, I can see 6 OTs going before pick 21 and all 3. Yes, Scotty, that's what's happening in these simulators lately. It stinks, man. It stinks. But hey, it's not our job to figure it out. Hopefully, if they can get some filler in those gaps, that at least help get some other quality players up there. We definitely need help at tackle, 100%, because Armstead, you definitely can't count on. Can't move on from him. Even if he retires, you still take some of a dead hit cap that you're able to spread over, I guess, 2 years. But can't count on him being the guy for the long term. Can't even count on him for every game. And like I said, I like him. He's a solid player. He's gutsy. He plays with injuries. But unfortunately, he's never played a full NFL season in his career. And he hasn't done so with Miami as well. And that was already his knock coming in. But he gets out there. He battles. He does his best. But you definitely need a backup plan because you don't even have Lamb right now under contract. So can you get him, or do teams say, oh, he played pretty well and Lamb could end up getting a payday? You never know because teams are desperate for linemen. They just are. That's why Scotty pointed out a lot are going to go in the first round because they don't grow on trees, these offensive linemen that are 6 foot, whatever, like 6'6" at least, and huge with the ability to move around and be athletic. They're not easy to find. It's a tough position. So it is tough. Still have a better chance of getting good talent for first and second. We should get quality run. Oh, I agree. I mean, we finally have a first and second round pick. This would be the first time Mike McDaniel as a head coach, unless Greer trades a pick away or something like that, or trades out of the first round altogether to really accumulate a lot of picks. It'd be the first time Mike McDaniel, as head coach of the Miami Dolphins, has a first round pick at his disposal. How much say does he have? Is he going to say we need another playmaker, or is he going to say no, we need a stud offensive lineman? It's going to be interesting to see what they choose to do. I just wish they had a few more, but first and a second is good. I'll give you that, Dolphin Don. At least it's the first time in years that we've had some decent picks. Let's see. We've got other positions of needs like tight end, edge. Well, you ain't lying, Dolphin Don. That's why I'm saying just those first two picks. It's not going to fill all of your needs. So you are 100% correcto mundo on that. As far as the Dolphins with a lot of needs, edge is definitely a need for the simple fact we don't know Phillips' status. I know Scotty says maybe September, but we don't know Chubb's status. AVG may walk away. There's another name I didn't even say when we were saying there's so many questions coming up in the near future. So hopefully Miami can find a way to get this all settled. They have to get under the cap, but hopefully they do so in a way that still make us a competitive football team going into the 2024 NFL season. That's what we need from Chris Greer and the Miami Dolphins, and hopefully they can do it. No, you're right. It's really nothing because they need a third receiver too. I mean, there's that's way down the totem pole right now on urgency, but there's a lot of needs on this Miami Dolphins team. But luckily, we do have a first and a second, and there are ways to get under the cap to maybe go fill in some needs to improve this team. Anyway, guys, I'm over my time. It's fun. I know that's another question. We don't know what scheme Weaver's going to run. He's been involved in both a 3-4 and a 4-3. So it's going to be interesting. Is it going to be zone? Is it going to be man-to-man? Is it going to be single cell? Who knows? We don't know. I sure don't know. Sorry, Mark, I didn't see you comment there. How can Ross members on the community still support Greer in 23 years of who knows? Guys, big fins up to you. Nail those thumbs up on the way out the door. And thank you so much for finding us again today. It's always a pleasure to talk Miami Dolphins with you. Thank you. I mean it. Tell your friends about us if they're Miami Dolphin fans. And it's great because we're just all teammates here talking Dolphins, all for fun. And I love it. You guys rock. Have a super day, guys. And once again, fins up, go Dolphins.
Dolphins thirsty, they never show no mercy. On the field or in the game, Miami knows how to play. Dolphins thirsty, we all get down and dirty. Tell you what you want to know, it's the Dolphins Show. Quench your thirst for all things Miami Dolphins. They are the football kings, cause they play to win. Come on in and have